all you stewards of the earth, humanitarians, and incredible soil solutionist people who are on the live broadcast and who are listening to the replay. You are in the right place at a dose of positivity, where I have the great privilege and the honor to interview these passionate change makers, thought leaders, social and environmental innovators, and wellness professionals. And I am streaming into you live, not from the big island of Hawaii this time, but from Weaverville, North Carolina, of all places. And it's 7 o'clock at night rather than 1 in the afternoon. So if I seem a little different, it's because I'm in a different place with different energy. Speaking of energy, we are in the age of Aquarius, and last night I got to speak on a panel where Sophia Soul, who is our special guest today, was helping facilitate this incredible energetic conversation, which the replays you can see in the Facebook group. It's awesome. You guys, everybody who's on, who I know now, I recognizing your names and your faces, you will love this live that we did and you can see in the background of Sophia's, the name of her, blah, 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 blah. See, it's late at night for me here. Anyway, the soul connection that you feel when you are on with these other women, it's like the most sacred energy you can ever imagine. And so we were touching lives everywhere, because I was on with Australia, UK, all over the world. People stream into this, and it's another for everybody who's listening, who likes a dose of positivity. You will find those incredibly wonderful to listen to. So I think they go on. Sophia, you'll let us know at the end, and we'll have the links in there for everybody how you can get in. Oh, good. Leslie's on the phone. Leslie's in the house. You guys, look at me. I don't have my big sunburst in the background tonight. I have like this China behind me. It's like 6-7 generations. China behind me in North Carolina. It is such a different world here. It's unbelievable. And that's partly what we're going to be talking about tonight, is change. And but before I go ahead and introduce this incredible soul, and actually with a last name like Soul, Sophie Soul, who's going to be talking to us this evening from dependency to self-determination. Her story is wild and worthy of everybody's time to focus in. If you want to transform your lives, you are in the right place right now, because you are going to be so inspired. But before we get started, I'm going to read a little bit from Living Like the Future Matters about my transformation, but it's really not about mine. It's about restoration, okay? So this is in restoration, planting seeds for the future, okay? Restoration is the act of returning something to a former and often better condition. Nature teaches us about restoration and recovery. A clear-cut forest will naturally recover, as can a polluted river. A broken bone will mend in time. Take care of a wound and it will heal if you do not pick at the scab. If we are compromised, we can rehabilitate. In nature, a diversified ecosystem has no addictions. It is healthy and balanced when it is respected. When a natural environment is disturbed, drilled, mined, fracked, or dumped on, it deteriorates under the pressure of overproduction. To some people, this looks like progress. Like the spirit of the trampled earth, our fragile internal landscape can get stripped when our good intentions are dumped on or shunned. When our productivity is devalued, it disturbs our souls. Desperate and drained, we fill ourselves with something, anything. A restorative mindset allows no room for such nonsense. Hey, Kevin, can you be quiet, please? Excuse me. Kevin! When the soil, sorry, you guys, this is definitely a live broadcast. I got some background chatter. When the soil gets nourished like our souls, there is no need for artificial substances or negative thought and feedback. It takes attention, not toxins, to heal depleted and distressed souls. Temporary relief from these toxins only masks the problem. Eventually, the substances wear off and are ineffective. It then takes stronger substances to perform. These substances interfere with life and can even interfere with our ability to produce healthy offspring. Addiction takes over like an invasive species. Negative thoughts tackle our minds. Balance and nourishment are the key to success in every sense of the word. When we can learn so much from nature. All of humankind desperately needs restoration. For nature and people, returning to a former state takes time and attention. The time to heal is contingent on the level of the damage. For example, restoring a tree can involve pruning dead and damaged parts, often many times. Although it is difficult to restore a tree to its original state, if cared for, it can double and even triple in stature and be highly productive. Our self-worth can also get reset. We can again love, be open and free, and overcome adversity. And now, you guys, that was just a great segue into introducing you to this incredible human, Sophie Soul. There are few people in the world who have had the kind of life that Sophie has had and ended up now running a worldwide organization dedicated to empowerment of self and others. Sophie was born with a genetic disorder, and she has undergone about 30 operations. She has faced so many challenges, and at the same time, she has been able to transform her life with the power of positive thought, self-esteem, and sound healing, which we're going to be talking about this evening. She rose like a phoenix. All of this work of self-development over the years has brought Sophie to where she is now, creating this global movement of love, growth, and connection through her organization, Our Sacred Community. And you will see in the link in the chat, you guys, how to get in touch with her, because I think all of you who listen to this, you might have some further questions and want to learn more about her community of incredible women who are rising up like phoenixes as well. And we encourage anybody who has any question or anything you want to contribute of your tale and your journey and your story of experiences of how you maybe fell to certain depths of despair and how you have been able and managed to become who you are today. Because it is our stories that are the healing modality that helps each of us get through whatever it is we're going through. So without further ado, Sophie, I would love for you to further tell your story about your journey, about your childhood experience, and how why you're here today with us. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Donna. And truly, 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 thank you for inviting me. This is a really wonderful opportunity. It's an honor. Like, I just love chatting with you, connecting with you. That's why I'm here, is your vibrancy I wish I could bottle it. It really shows what can happen when you live a life of nature from the soil and making the world matters, living your life as the world matters. So I really really just want to honor you and thank you. And thank you for inviting me on, and with all these beautiful souls that are here too. So you would like me to tell you my story. Where do I start and how long have we got? So as you mentioned, and I also want to really just, before I do that, what you read was beautiful. It is so much, reconnecting to nature and not letting any adversities overcome us and anything like that. So just want to thank you for that. So my story, I was born, as you said, I was born with a genetic condition. I'm honoured to be able to to have this body. When I very first was growing up, and I experienced so much bullying, so much trauma from having a body that is different. At first I went through a lot of stuff where I blamed everyone. I blamed God. I didn't have a good life. I blamed my mother. Because of the genetic condition that I was born with, it was from my mother, and I ended up having about 30 operations on my bones. I had a lot of problems walking, a lot of problems, and I was in constant pain, a lot of pain, and taking a lot of heavy duty narcotics, right? I was constantly, every day I'd be self-injecting pethidine plus taking other stuff, which made my body very, very toxic, which contributed to more pain. So that continued for some time, and I said, and on top of that, on top of the physical things, there was also the emotional. Because when you're growing up in a school and high school, as we all know in today's world, it's not easy, especially if you're different. Children cope the best way that they can. And if there's anything different, then it stands out and they don't know how to bring that into their world. So I was treated very differently. I was called an alien, all sorts of stuff. And that also led to absolutely no self-worth. I didn't think I was worthy enough of being here. And also, I developed a very bad stutter. Because every time I tried to say something, I would get talked over, right? And when you have no self-worth and you're trying to say something, you also develop a belief that you're not even worthy enough to speak. So I had a lot of fear around speaking and started to stutter and stammer, so much so that I had to learn how to talk all over again. And this...
Can I
Yes.
ask you?
Yes.
First of all, you don't have a stutter at all, and I wanted everybody. I failed to say you're calling in from Australia, and you have a lovely accent, and I just want to reassure you of how grateful. I mean, I had no idea about that, and you said one thing I wanted to just clarify. You it was a genetic problem. What can you get just a little bit? Some people are asking what specifically was that, because we all have genes, right? And what was it that, did they have a specific name?
Yes, it's a very technical name. It's two names, but one of the names, it's trichorhinophalangeal syndrome, type 2.
Very rare, huh?
Very rare. Tricho is hair. I've got very thin hair and can't grow it, and it looks very straggly. I go to the hairdresser about every six months, and it's very, very thin, right? Sometime soon I'm just going to shave it all off. Rhino is something to do with the nose. I don't know that. Apparently there's something wrong with my nose. I think my nose is fine, except that I can't breathe through it. Don't know. And phalanges is fingers, and I've always had problems with my fingers, right? I've got 3 knuckles and all sorts of stuff. But it's all different types, and the main thing is that as I was growing up, I would get lumps of cartilage on all my joints, and they didn't know what it was. All they knew, because I grew up in a small country town, is that it was causing me lots of pain, so they would take them off. I'd have surgery and they would take them off, but then they'd just grow back, so they'd take them off. I wasn't even fully diagnosed with the condition until I was in my 20s, when I took myself to see a genetic specialist in a capital city. But up until then, it was just operation after operation after operation to take off all these lumps that would just grow back.
Yeah.
So that's what it was.
Yeah.
And that, that continued until I stopped growing. When I stopped growing, then of course my bones stopped growing, but then I started to shrink. And my bones started to degenerate really, really quickly. So I'd be in a lot of pain, and I'd also had to have a couple of more surgeries to fix things because the bones were degenerating so quickly. But it wasn't till when I actually really injured my knees, and I was in my 30s, and I completely wrecked both my knees. I fell downstairs backwards and tore everything in my knees, tore my ACL, my MCL, all my meniscus and everything else. And I went off to see the genetic specialist, no, not the genetic specialist, the orthopedic surgeon, and they said that there's nothing you can do except have 2 knee replacements. And you're far too young, which means you're going to have more knee replacements in about 5 years or 10 years and everything else. And it was in that moment that my body went into trauma. I could literally feel it yelling at me. I could feel the trauma, and it just said no. Except it didn't say it, it yelled, no, no more. No more surgery, no more drugs. There has to be another way. There has to be another way. So I just made the decision right there and then that I would find whatever way there was. And I did lots of, I tried lots of different modalities. I tried massage, I tried acupuncture, I tried, Reiki and all different energy healings. I went to India for 4 months and went to a naturopath resort where they, did all sorts of things, and I got baked and steamed and stuff. And all this really helped. It took away the pain. Absolutely. It took away the pain. It helped with the pain. But it didn't go to the source. It didn't heal the problems. And it was only till I discovered, for me, was sound healing. And I'm not saying that Reiki and massage and acupressure and acupuncture isn't good. It's all good. And we all have different modalities that help us, right? Everyone is tuned in to different things. But for me, it was when I discovered sound healing and breath work. And the sound, it totally changed my life. Totally and absolutely changed my life, because I literally could feel my body healing with the sound energy. And I know that's, some people go that's not true, but sound is, to me, sound is universal language. It's been around forever, and I apologise for the background noise. I've got background noise. Oh
my god, it's so funny.
It's what happens when you go live.
Yeah.
What happens when you go live.
They're hearing you talk, man. They want you to hear their sound.
Yeah. So that was with the sound. Oh, yeah, incredible. So much. Before that, I wasn't able to walk very far. I'd be able to walk about 100 meters. The other thing is I used to get around a lot on a mobility scooter. And I also had to wear a neck brace because my neck started to compress. I've shrunk, right? I've shrunk a good 6 centimeters, and my head got too heavy for my neck because I had arthritis everywhere, osteoarthritis and everywhere.
Yeah.
So it was through the sound that all healed. I said I could feel my hip being glued back together again. I felt my knee being sewn up. My body released so much suppressed emotions, suppressed energy, suppressed beliefs. And it just healed. Didn't heal overnight, but it healed. So much to say that now sound is my medicine. I don't take any drugs, not even a Panadol or anything like that. Nothing. If I'm in pain, if I hurt myself, which I do, if I overdo it like anyone else, I use the sound.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Speaking of sound, you have some sound in your background tonight. We can really hear it. But that's so interesting, you guys. I really think it's very appropriate, that we have this background sound and we're talking about sound healing, and you've learned to use the power of sound to heal. And even when you hear the sound of that background noise that you're hearing now, like when you hear that, I'm curious as how that barking dogs or the people in the background, or when you're trying to focus and calm, does that add stress, or does that, or do you just how do you use those sounds? Because we can't always have a beautiful bowl, right? Is that the kind of sound healing you're talking about? Or we can't always have the wind or the birds chirping, right? If we did, wow, we would all be in a state of bliss, right? That would be wonderful.
Yeah,
But
we so
you have the
we
guy ringing the doorbell delivering potatoes at 1 minute before the show goes on. My husband
uh,
chatting in the back. Never. That never happens when I'm going live.
yeah.
Phone's off, everything's unplugged. You have this sound, and we are talking about sound healing. And I know everybody who's listening to this live, who knows me, who knows this, you're all spiritual and understanding, like, why is this happening? You've all been on my show so many times, and we very rarely have any background noise, and we are talking about sound healing. Go figure. The age of Aquarius, that's all I can say.
It's the age of Aquarius, it's Mercury retrograde, and yes, and I love it how you're talking about sound, and we've got to just bring into all the sounds. You know, when we connect to ourselves, when we connect to that divine essence, you find beauty in all sounds. You know, like I go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning and they're playing, head banging stuff, and it's like at 5 o'clock in the morning, but you just learn to tune it out, and things. So yeah, so sound, and with the dogs, and we go, live. People, you just accept live stuff. So, but hopefully they will settle down. So yeah, so that's my journey with sound healing. But it was before that, if I can share, if that's okay. The biggest thing that's really helped me with my life on an emotional level is when I really started to work on myself. When I stopped blaming the world. I blamed God. If there was a God, I blamed God. I blamed my mother. I blamed the world. And I could not understand that if I've got a genetic condition, why me and why not my sister? So it was in my late teens and stuff, I started to take responsibility for my life. And really realised that if I wanted to make a life, then I had to do something about it. And I went on to the journey of working on myself and really discovering what self-esteem is all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And if anybody who's listening right now has any comments or things that you want to add to that, I know it's pretty amazing to hear that's a story such as sound healing. I mean, I find it you know, let's put it this way. I'm very woo, but I'm not a woo woo person, right? And to me, like, this is the sound healing's always been a little woo woo, and right now it's turning into woo because I know you, right? So, um, give us some more the context of how you found sound like healing. Who turned you on to it? Where were you? How old were you? And what ways did you use the sound healing? Was it a practice that you did morning, noon, and night? How much time did it take you to get to that place where I'm not in pain anymore?
That's a good question. So thank you. So I think when I first discovered sound healing and the benefits of sound healing is I wanted to do some breath work. I had a lot of childhood beliefs around money conditions. Right, I grew up in a family that did not have a good relationship with money. I was told by someone that I was born into a financial war zone, which was true. My parents fought about money all the time. So I had those beliefs with me, that women don't earn money, it's hard to get money, that everything else like that. So I wanted to release those beliefs and I wanted to do some breath work. So I went off to a rebirther who happened to be a sound healer. So I just did that and I was just doing my breath work, my breathing. And this person started using their voice, started using their instruments, their drum, their crystal bowls and their flute and whatever else they had. And it was at that moment that my body woke up. Like I said, I used to, by this time I was starting to listen to my body. When I was growing up, I used to punish it. But I started to really get into connect with my body and develop a really good relationship with it. And I listened to it, and it was at that moment my body said, this is what I need. This will heal me. So after that, I went to more sound healings as a participant. And then I also was lucky enough or fortunate enough to be able to travel with a sound healer. And we toured up and down the east coast of Australia for a while. And then I started to get into being a sound practitioner. We also toured overseas for about eight months. And it was because I was amongst sound on a almost daily basis, right? When we toured, every single time I could feel more and more healing. Some of it was just little. Some of it was just little, but some of it was really huge. And, very very healing, very transformative. So much so I remember that we were somewhere overseas and my body told me that it wanted to start jogging. Now, I haven't jogged for years. I went through, from someone who couldn't walk more than 100 meters, the energy had been unblocked. The energy was flowing that my body wanted to start to jog, not run, but starting to jog. And it was incredible.
That's incredible. So you keep referring like sound healing. Are you talking little sound healing bowls like where you're doing the sound healing, or are you talking glass? What kind of what would you call it? Medium?
Crystal, yeah, singing crystal bowls. If I had have thought about it, I could have set up where they are, but we can go in there if you like later. Crystal,
like that. Why don't we do that? Can we do that?
We can do that. We can see what we can do. Absolutely, and stuff
so
very very soon. I mean, we are live.
Right.
We're alive, and anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Sing and dance and play the piano. So Well, I mean, if this is, I gotta see this. This is amazing. So I just need to ask you a question here. Like with the
Yes.
feeling, like I have arthritis and pain, right? You know, I manage it. My modality is like going out and hugging trees and smelling flowers and being barefoot and jumping in the ocean is the best healing for me. And then eating an alkaline diet, more or less. And so, are you? eh, I know you contributed like to the epiphany of like, wow, this was my modality. But what other things have you done to incorporate to support the sound healing? I mean, 'cause it's miraculous, right? You're like cured. You're off of drugs. You're walking. You feel like jogging. So, what other things are you doing? We want to know. Can you cure cancer with these?
Look, can I cure cancer? No. Can sound cure cancer? Cancer? Yes, because
Whoa! You hear that,
I've had
people?
I've had people, I've heard people had that experience.
Mm.
It truly, truly is. And I'm not going to be out there and saying that it's going to cure all cancers. I really believe it's, as you were saying, it's supporting everything.
Yeah.
I live a healthy lifestyle. I'm a vegetarian. I eat as much organic as I can. I drink a lot of fluids, and I don't, I look after my internal health, and it's also mind. This wonderful show is all about being positive. To me, all our diseases, all the stuff that we suffer from, including cancer, really starts in the mind. And when we can turn that around, when we can experience different thoughts, and also find mediums to not suppress our emotions,
Mhm.
then that can help us. Like I said, I remember once, and this one of my experiences. This is true, that I was abused when I was very, very young. Now I'd totally forgotten about it. Totally forgotten about it. But a really, I developed a lump in my groin, and so much pain, so much pain. I couldn't walk upstairs, right? I couldn't walk. So I did some breath work and sound healing. I went to see the breath worker, and I said, I've got I'm in a lot of pain. I can't walk, and I've got this lump in my groin. So we did 3 breathworking sessions. It took 3, and sound healing, and it was through that I was able to release all the trauma of being abused that I didn't even remember, but it came up. It came up, and my body let it go. And this is what breathwork and sound does. Sound can do it on its own, but breathwork is also a fantastic medium. Um, and it releases all that, to me, and this is just my belief, that cancer is a disease that develops from suppressed beliefs or suppressed emotions. If we're very angry and we don't let that out, we hold it within us, it's going to turn into us. It's going to, start eating us away, our bodies, which is how cancer develops.
Oh,
So that's what I do.
wow. Here's what I want to say about that. That's powerful what you just said. And in all fairness, I think also cancer develops from if you grew up in a toxic environment where there are a lot of chemicals, toxic cancer also comes with not just the emotional component, but the foods that are ingested are the carcinogens that we inhale from pollution. So there's lots of reasons, but I do agree that emotional component is huge. But there are physical things that do happen. Just this is happens to be on the host of the show. So in full disclosure, there's lots of reasons, but it is certainly a testimonial right here from somebody who experienced using breath and sound healing as a modality, 2 modalities, to rid herself of this emotional toxin that was creating this lump in your groin, and I am overly impressed. And I know some of you on here have had cancer, or I like to say a cancer, because you had one, but it doesn't mean you have it anymore. You had a cancer, not like you had cancer. You just, there are ways, it's a touchy subject for me because my mom died of cancer very, very young. And I, every day is a borrowed day, because like you're talking about the genetic thing component too, also as part of cancer possibilities of contracting any kind of disease as part of our DNA and epigenetics. We know now that we can turn that around. And if you haven't listened to the episode with Dr. Melissa Peterson speaking about that and epigenetics, go back into the archives in both our podcast channel and YouTube, and you will learn as anything you need to know about epigenetics and changing our brains and changing our minds, like so many other people, and I write about it in the book. But we're not talking about that now. We are talking about these miracles. And the other thing, Sophie, that really sprung something out that you just said was, we talked about it last night on the Age of Aquarius about that inner child, right? And being more childlike, right? And not holding on to things and releasing things. And that is so much part of this new age that we're in, of just, instead of boxing ourselves in a corner, do this, don't do that, can't you read the signs? Speak when you're spoken to, and all that suppressed energy, right? That stored energy, those sounds, bringing us back to sound healing, those sounds make us gasp for air when someone says no.
Yes.
When someone says don't. So what I would do is turn that around, and if you would we don't have, we're past the half hour already. This is going so quickly, but can you share with us some simple breathing techniques that you do, and share with us also how often do you recommend, just as a maintenance, for any of us who are on this live or listening to the replay can do on their own?
Sure, I can. And like, maintenance is an everyday thing. It's very similar to meditation. Meditation really only works when we meditate on a consistent basis. It doesn't have to be for long. Even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes is good, 20 minutes. And it's during that too that you can do some breath work. And there's so many different types of breath work out there. There's so many different, people talk about the box breath work, which is 4 breaths in, you hold it for 4 breaths out, and you hold it for 4. But for me, when I do rebirthing breath work, that's when I really release stuff. The other breath, you can breathe just to help be calm, totally, and relax, right? But rebirthing breath work is the breathing that a baby does. If you've seen a brand new baby, they don't stop breathing. They don't know how. They've never experienced fear, so they don't hold their breath. As adults, we hold our breath. We don't breathe properly anymore. We just because we've brought in so much fear. And when you were just saying, when someone yells at us that you can't do that, we go, oh, and hold our breath. And then when so we stop, we forget how to breathe properly. So rebirthing breath work is a constant breathing. It's not hypertrophic. It's not, we don't breathe really quickly. It's just a slow, deep breathing, but constant. So it's breathing in and breathing out, breathing in and breathing out. And when you do that over a period of time, and this is definitely best to be for a length of time, for an hour or so, then the body starts to release any traumas that is held in our cells and our muscles. You know, every single experience we've had is in our cellular memory. Everything. So when that happens, you know, and our bodies hold that. So when we breathe in a certain way, our bodies go, oh, I can release a little bit of that now. I can release some more now. And that's what happens, and that's what the breath work does. And the sound healing combined with that really just
So are you just saying,
it develops it.
are you just saying breathing in for four, out for four? Are you talking about nose breathing or nose mouth breathing? Which modality? Because I'm trying not to breathe out of my mouth
A
anymore.
nose, yeah, yeah. Nose breathing is the best. It definitely is the best. You can use mouth breathing. Mouth breathing tends to bring in too much oxygen really quickly, and you can hyperventilate, right? If you're doing it quickly. So nose breathing is the best. The only good thing where you breathe through the mouth if you want to tone anything. You know, sometimes when you do breath work, you feel like screaming. You've really got to let stuff out. But rather than screaming, which just adds to the trauma, because screaming actually isn't a good thing, but you tone it. You can tone it out. You tone out through the chakras and tone stuff out. But yes, that's all. That's all good, and it all helps. It all helps. Well, for me, it helps. I'm not saying that breath work is for everyone. I'm not saying that sound is for everyone. All I know is that it's a wonderful modality that can be used either in conjunction or instead of, you know, your other medicines and things and surgeries. You know, we live in a world, Donna, especially, you know, especially in America, but all over the world now, and including Australia too. We live in a world where, you know, we go, if we have a little pain or a headache, we pop a pill. Now, our traditional cultures, our indigenous cultures, they never pop a pill. They use their instruments, they use their voice, they use their traditional methods to heal. But we've lost all that. So that's why I love what you do, is, you know, living like the future matters, to get back to the real solutions of the soil, of the soul, of the earth. You know, Mother Nature gives us everything we need. Whether it's the sound of the birds or the ocean. I mean, you know how much it is to go out and ground ourselves. The difference you feel when you go into the ocean. It's cleansing. It cleanses away all those ions that we pick up in technology in the world. It cleanses away all that negativity. You know, just go out and hug a tree instead of going for a pill.
Yes. Oh, I like
So
that.
much difference. And it's also so big about, you know, for me, it's also our mindset. And that's why I'm so grateful that I discovered, you know, what truly self-esteem is and how that works with everything, with it all.
Oh, yeah, you just said so much juicy stuff there. And you know, one of the things that I really, when I think about sound and sound healing, you know, I'm very much the beat of the drum, right? When you mention indigenous cultures, and there are the crystals and the bowls and the healing, and then there's that drumming and the drumming and the beat of the heart, and the pace of how we walk and how we run. And I know a lot of times for me when I'm walking in nature, and the sound of my feet rustling in the fall leaves, like here when I come to North Carolina, or just when I'm walking on a soil road and I'm walking where there's some gravel, and just never do I have earbuds on when I'm walking or running, and I see these young kids, and some of them, Meredith's on the line. It's just like, take the buds out, right? And listen. I mean, of course, if you're walking in a busy city and you can be listening to meditative sounds, a beautiful chanting. Chanting is another sound healing. When I've been to yoga ashrams and just chanting in the temples, and then a lot of times when I'm out and walking in nature, I will sing some of those same prayers that I did when I was in my 20s and 30s when I went to the yoga ashrams. So I love this idea of and there's something else you said, Sophie, that I think is really important to take home is, hugging a tree, not taking a pill. That will make a great social media post. But where, you know, who's telling us that ibuprofen is going to work better than breath and sound healing, right? And then we believe it. Even to me, sometimes it's like nothing's working. I'm bagging it. I'm taking some ibuprofen, and it knocks me out, and it affects my liver. And I know that the next day I got to do some serious lemon water juice and apple cider vinegar if I do that. But you just get indoctrinated. You just get, your mind gets polluted, right? We've been brainwashed. And I just love having people on the show like this who busts those myths wide open. And if there's anybody who just busted it wide open, it's you, Sophia. And I am so honored to have you in my life. And we have just a few minutes left, and I'm going to look in the chat and see if there's any more comments. But would you share, like, first of all, before I ask you the question, just take us through like 30 seconds of breath work, or even a minute of what you're referring to, because I've done, a lot of pranayama, a lot of breathing, but what do you find works best for you? I love giving our viewers just a little visual, and if it is really practical and possible for you to go into your sound healing room and show us your crystal healing bowls, that would be amazing. So first show us the breathing, and then
Yeah, Donna, and I want to say thank you, and unfortunately, just due to time, and taking it all, pulling everything apart and taking in there, I just don't know if we're going to have time for the sound healing. But may I come back?
yes, you may come
May I
back.
come back, and
Can
we
we
will
do a
do the
whole
sound healing?
sound healing? We can just do a
We can
sound
do a whole sound healing. We can do stuff, definitely. We can
Oh,
talk
that would be
about that,
so
because
amazing.
we can definitely do that. But I want to thank you for the offer, but just unfortunately I did not get that organised as such. So next time,
All right.
absolutely. And with the breath work, again, everyone finds different things that work for them. The pranayama and the alternative nostril breathing works incredibly. I used to do a lot of long distance driving, and if I was starting to get, a little bit tired, but could not pull over for a sleep for whatever reason, I would do the pranayama, and that just brings a lot of oxygen to your brain and wakes you up. So that is definitely one. The rebirthing breath work, it's just a constant thing. You really need someone with you when you do rebirthing breath work, only because our bodies will resist it to start with. We are as adults now, we are very lazy breathing, and we will just want to go, oh, I'll just stop breathing now, and that doesn't work. So with the rebirthing breath work, you have someone who's watching you to making sure that you keep on breathing.
Yeah.
And it's a constant flow. It's just breathing in, breathing out, and as soon as you empty, you're breathing in, you're breathing out, you're breathing in, and you're breathing out. Now, I don't count the things. If that helps people, you can breathe in for 4 and you breathe out for 4. but it's not breathing in, holding, breathing out, holding. It's just a constant breathing in, breathing out. And if you do this for a period of time, again, there will come a time when your body goes, oh, this is what you want me to do, and it will go into a rhythm, right? And it will just continue to do that. And it's then that it allows you to release anything.
And you're calling this rebirthing breathing? Yeah, so maybe Meredith, you can look that up and put that in the chat. And also, you guys, before we have just a few minutes left. I just have just a couple of announcements I wanted to share with you. And Sophie's got some background noise, so she's on mute for a minute. And it gives me the opportunity to remind you guys all, and we'll put this in the chat too. If you're interested in doing our membership, we want to have at least 10 members to get going. So far, we just have a few. And I know some of you on here expressed interest, and it's going to be epic. So we hope you'll join us. It'll make us feel really good knowing that we're going to start doing these online culinary classes and then monthly get-togethers and talking about questions we might have on fermentation, on bone broth, on homemade animal foods, on sauerkrauts, on making flu brews and flu stews and immune system building recipes to get us through the winter. Lots of good stuff, and nature therapy sessions where we're going to be doing some sound healing and breathing on our nature walks. And I know that from the comments in the chat and from people on the live stream asking questions that we are very much interested in everything that Sophia has been talking about, and I can't wait to do my skywalk meditation with all the members in our group. So I'm not seeing an active link on there, Meredith, and also put on the birthing. Sophie, maybe you have a link for that breathing, because I'd sure love to post that and get people a link on how they can start doing this breathing safely on their own. So if there is a link that we can send people to, and then also in the chat, we'll want to make sure that everybody will see. Also, it'll be in the YouTube channel and also on our podcast station. We'll have all Sophie's information in there as well. So, and then we'll also in the chat, we have a new website. It's called Eco-Spired. I just launched a new book, you guys. It's called Get Cultured, How to Making Fermenting vegetables easy. That's what it is. So you'll see that link for the membership in the chat, and you'll also see the link to our Eco-Spired site where you can see the new fermentation book and all the other beautiful nature photography. And as everybody knows on here, everything I do, I'm a philanthropist, and all the money goes back into making this company run, and then all profits, when we start making them, will go into buying land in the name of Soil to Soul to preserve and protect nature. So, Sophie, before we go, we have just a few minutes left, and I want to thank everybody for letting me do my little infomercial. I am my greatest sponsor and champion with Meredith and Tell in the house, and TJ. Sophia, you are just a gift to behold. I'm so excited you're going to come back with sound healing. And now, if you could just spend the last maybe few minutes sharing with us about Sacred You and how you created and started this global movement and how people can get involved, that would just rock everybody's world, including mine.
Oh, Donna, thank you so much. But to tell you everything, we'll need another conversation as well,
Okay.
because I'm aware of time, and I'm aware that again we've got dogs and everything else here at the moment. Just an interesting situation at the moment. But basically, very quickly, sacredyou.love is the website for our sacred community, and we're here for anyone who wants to connect. You know, I really believe, and I've experienced, that one of the greatest needs in our world is connection. Connection to the soil, connection to nature, connection to ourselves, and connection to others. We used to be in community. You'd have your family communities, your generationals that lived together. We used to gather in community. We've all lost that. And even though technology has brought us together in one way, because we're now global and we can connect to like-minded souls all over the world, absolutely, it's also taken us away from that connection to ourselves. And everyone I speak to, one of the biggest needs they have is connection. So our sacred community offers a platform for people to connect, whether it's let's go out and have a coffee and connect to other women or men in the community and make new friends and feel that connection in community, whether it's connecting with heart-centered, like-minded people all over the world, like your beautiful selves in at the moment we've got over 30 special interest tribes on anything to do with personal development, health and wellness, business, and all your metaphysical things, from spiritual development to astrology to human design, all sorts of stuff. Plus, of course, you've been one of our beautiful guests on our panel discussions, which is all about empowering on all different topics. So that's basically what we are, and we welcome anyone in our community, in our membership, whether you just want to hang out with other like-minded souls, whether you want to host a tribe, which is a really wonderful business funnel, and stuff. So that's what we're all about. So thank you, and thank you for this opportunity. It has been a real honor.
Yes, it's been an honor both ways, sweetheart. And I want to thank you so much, and for everybody who's on live and everybody who's listening to the restream there, and for everybody listening to the replay, much gratitude for your presence. And I want to remind everybody that next week I am going to be traveling back to the big island of Hawaii, so we will not have an episode of A Dose of Positivity. We are taking a break because I will be in the air, or in the car actually, getting to the airport. And but the following week our special guest will just blow your mind. Her name is Alexis STRAUS, and we'll be diving deep into the topic of the healing power of consistent nature connection. This woman is as equally as inspiring as you, Sophia, and I think you will love to hop on this one, and she will love to hear about your tribe. Alexa has been doing this for a long time, and much a kindred spirit to all of us. So we will see you all on A Dose of Positivity in 2 weeks. With Alexis STRAUS, and we will also get you again on the calendar for a session, Sophia, of just pure bliss sound healing. And big love to you all. No garden tour tonight, so don't stay on. We are gonna cut it here, and see you all in 2 weeks. Aloha.